I know you're building a strong case against Tyrion, and as a mother, that is your right. But as a judge, I cannot discuss the trial with you.
Tywin Lannister ruled Westeros with fear, gold, and absolute power. He destroyed entire houses for disrespecting his name. He funded kings. He won wars from a desk. For 3 seasons, he was the most terrifying man in the show, not because of violence, but because of resources, because the wealth behind him felt limitless, because no one in Westeros could imagine a world where the Lannisters ran out of gold. He quietly admits something that changes everything. The Lannisters are completely broke, and the moment he finishes saying it, his daughter picks up that information and uses it to condemn her own brother to death.
No jugglers, no jousting dwarfs, no 77-course meals. And your wedding to Loras?
This is the scene where the golden lion is revealed to be a paper tiger. Let's break it down. The setup: hours before this conversation, Tommen has just been crowned king. As we covered in our last video, linked below,
we may be faced with an alarming number of weddings soon. I won't even know what to call you.
Cersei and Marjorie had a quietly vicious exchange at that coronation. Cersei agreed to let Marjorie marry Tommen, performing the gracious queen mother perfectly. Every gesture calculated, every word measured. But Cersei doesn't set policy. Tywin does.
Your Grace, I feel you knew exactly what I did too.
She walks into this meeting thinking she is playing the game at the highest level. She sees herself as a queen brokering alliances, steering the dynasty toward its next chapter. What she is about to learn is that they are not a dynasty at the peak of its power. They are debtors holding off a foreclosure, and Tywin is about to explain exactly how bad it is, carefully, in the right order.
The Tyrells are our only true rivals in terms of resources, and we need them on our side.
To keep her manageable rather than hysterical, he is not just delivering news, he is managing her reaction to it in real time. Every sentence in this conversation is a controlled dose of a truth that could break her if he delivered it all at once. The signal she misses.
He was my husband, my king. He would have been your nightmare. Your Grace, I feel you knew exactly what you wanted.
Cersei gives the timeline for Tommen and Marjorie's wedding. She talks about decency, mourning, respect.
You never love anything in the world the way you love your first child.
She is performing the pious queen mother with precision. A fortnight. Then he adds 4 words she completely misses. No 77-course meals. Think about what that means. Joffrey's wedding was a deliberate spectacle. Every golden dish, every lavish course, every staged performance existed to send one message to every lord in Westeros. We are untouchable. The Lannister name means infinite wealth, infinite power, a dynasty that cannot be threatened. Tywin is quietly dismantling that performance. No spectacle, no excess, reduced ceremony. He is introducing austerity through the language of taste, and his daughter doesn't notice the financial signal buried inside the instruction. She hears etiquette. He means economics. She also agrees to marry Loras Tyrell, a man she despises. But her fear of Tywin overrides everything else. And here, Tywin does something unusual.
No, you don't like them. I didn't like your husband. Used to pat me on the back a lot.
He softens the blow. He tells her he didn't like Robert either. Used to pat me on the back a lot. Tywin doesn't do this. He doesn't share personal grievances. He doesn't invite emotional equivalence or lower himself to relatability. The fact that he does it here tells you everything. He needs her emotionally settled before what comes next. This is not warmth. It is preparation.
Then whom can we trust?
Ourselves alone.
The confession, Cersei asks who they can trust. It is an emotional question. She views every alliance as a disguised threat, every ally as a future betrayer. Tywin cuts through it immediately. Ourselves alone.
The Tyrells are our only true rivals in terms of resources, and we need them on our side.
He names the Tyrells as rivals first, partners second.
Then how do we pay for anything?
The Crown owes the Iron Bank of Bravos a tremendous amount of money.
How much?
Then, Cersei makes a mistake. She brings up Robert's lack of wealth, fishing for confirmation that the Lannisters have always been the real power behind everything. She is walking directly into the trap.
Do you know how much gold was mined in the Westerlands this past year?
Do you know how much gold was mined in the Westerlands this past year? He doesn't announce the truth. He guides her toward it.
Pounds, tons, ounces.
Doesn't matter, the answer's the same.
Cersei doesn't know the answer. She doesn't even know the unit of measurement. Pounds? Tons? Ounces? She has consumed the benefits of Lannister wealth her entire life without once understanding how it is actually produced. The question exposes that ignorance before the answer destroys what that ignorance supported. It doesn't matter. The answer is the same.
Our last working mine ran dry 3 years ago.
Her mind rejects it before he finishes. It can't be. Our last working mine ran dry 3 years ago. 3 years. Tywin funded the entire War of the Five Kings. Every soldier, every bribe, every alliance, every raven, on reputation and credit alone. No gold backed any of it. The wealthiest family in the world had been hollow for 3 years. The entire empire sustained by one thing, the continent's collective willingness to keep believing in a performance. Then comes the line that reveals the true scale of the problem.
Then how do we pay for anything?
The Crown owes the Iron Bank of Bravos a tremendous amount of money.
How much?
The Crown owes the Iron Bank of Bravos a tremendous amount of money. Notice what he doesn't do. He doesn't say the number. This is the man who knows exact troop counts of enemies he has never met, who recalls grain yields from houses he conquered decades ago, who accounts for everything with microscopic precision. He will not say the number out loud. That refusal is its own confession. The debt is so catastrophic that naming it would make it real in a way that even Tywin cannot manage.
The Iron Bank is the Iron Bank. There is no someone.
But someone does work there. It is comprised of people.
And a temple is comprised of stones. One stone crumbles and another takes its place.
The temple Cersei, still not grasping what she has just heard, suggests he simply find someone at the bank, locate the right person, apply pressure, reach an arrangement. She approaches a global financial institution the way she approaches every problem. Find the weakness. Apply leverage. The Iron Bank is the Iron Bank. There is no someone. What follows is the most important speech in the scene.
And a temple is comprised of stones. One stone crumbles and another takes its place.
A temple is comprised of stones. One stone crumbles and another takes its place.
And the temple holds its form for 1,000 years or more. And that's what the Iron Bank is, a temple.
And the temple holds its form for 1,000 years or more. Here's what that means. The Iron Bank is not a collection of individuals. It is a system. It continues operating the same way, regardless of who sits inside it at any given moment. The people inside it are replaceable. The institution is not. You cannot assassinate a system. You cannot seduce one. Kill a banker and they promote the next one. The debt remains. The interest compounds. The institution doesn't sleep. It doesn't forget. It doesn't die. We all live in its shadow, and almost none of us know it. This is Tywin Lannister admitting defeat to a power he cannot fight. The man who destroyed House Rain for daring to defy him. The man who engineered the Red Wedding to end a war he was losing in the field. He has spent 4 decades bending the world to his will through military force, political manipulation, and the sustained weight of his reputation. And here he sits, terrified of accountants. He fears mathematics more than he fears armies. He fears the ledger more than the sword. The pivot Tywin solution is the Tyrell Alliance. Vest the wealthiest agricultural family in Westeros into the crown. Use their resources to pay the Bravosi debt before the temple loses patience entirely. It is not a political partnership. It is a financial rescue operation wearing the costume of statecraft.
I know you're building a strong case against Tyrion. And as a mother, that is your right.
But Cersei has stopped listening to the substance. The moment Tywin says, "good of the family," something shifts in her.
The Lannister legacy is the only thing that matters. You started wars to protect this family.
The Lannister legacy is the only thing that matters. You started wars to protect this family, turned your back on Jaime for refusing to contribute to its future.
Turned your back on Jaime for refusing to contribute to its future. What does Tyrion deserve? For lighting that future on fire.
She is not making a legal argument. She is doing something far more precise. She is taking the one concept Tywin has organized his entire life around, legacy, and pointing it directly at Tyrion. What does Tyrion deserve for lighting that future on fire? The trap is built entirely from Tywin's own beliefs. If legacy is sacred, and Tywin has acted as though it is every day of his adult life, then a Lannister who murdered the king is not just a criminal. He is an existential threat to everything Tywin has built. She doesn't need evidence. She just needs Tywin to follow his own philosophy to its logical conclusion. She wraps patricide in a language of preservation. She gives Tywin the ideological permission to execute his own son and call it duty rather than hatred. And it works completely. She walked into this room expecting to be managed. She leaves having redirected the most powerful man in Westeros, using his financial terror and his obsession with legacy as her instruments. A note on the source material. This reveal is also one of the biggest departures from the novels. In George R.R. Martin's books, the Lannister mines are not empty. Martin has confirmed that Casterly Rock remains among the wealthiest holdings in the world. The show runners invented the empty mines entirely for television. The reason is narrative economy. In the books, the Crown's debt is a slow-moving political issue rooted in Robert's years of overspending. For a television audience that needs immediate visceral stakes, empty mines do the job in 30 seconds. They transform the Tyrell alliance from political convenience into existential survival. And in this case, the trade works. The aftermath in the short term, Cersei wins everything she came for. The trial becomes a staged performance. Tyrion demands trial by combat. The chain of events ends with a crossbow bolt in Tywin's chest, fired by the son he chose not to protect. But the victory hollows out almost immediately. Cersei walked out of this meeting having completely ignored the one warning Tywin actually needed her to absorb. Once he died, she stopped paying the Iron Bank entirely, and the temple held its form exactly as he predicted it would. Credit froze across Westeros. Cersei's rivals received funding. The consequences arrived quietly, impersonally, without mercy or emotion. Not out of anger, not out of politics, just procedure. Debt unpaid, consequences follow. The real lesson buried in this scene is fiscal determinism. Political genius cannot outrun a collapsing economic foundation. You can command the most feared armies in the world and still be destroyed by a ledger. Power built on the performance of wealth is not power. It is theater, and theater eventually ends. Tywin Lannister won every military campaign he entered. He outmaneuvered every political rival he faced. He constructed the most feared name in Westerosi history over 4 decades of relentless effort. Then he watched it begin to unravel because he could not solve a mathematics problem in time. He built the lion out of gold. When the gold ran out, he kept performing the lion. For 3 years, the performance held, then it didn't. Cersei thought she won this conversation by securing Tyrion's destruction. She didn't realize she was sitting inside a burning building, arguing over who got to hold the ashes. So here's the question. Was Tywin's decision to hide the bankruptcy from his own family a stroke of cold genius, the illusion of wealth being the only real currency he had left? Or was it the defining act of arrogance that made collapse inevitable the moment he was no longer there to maintain the fiction?